Fun to do bad things, but I wanted to do hood rat stuff with my friend.
17 members and associates of the Hells Angels are facing criminal charges in a violent attack.
Federal agents allege the outlaws sold drugs, traded firearms, and engaged in insurance fraud and even tampered with government witnesses.
We have learned there is cell phone video as well as surveillance video of evidence in this attack.
The U.S. Attorney characterized today's raids as historic, the largest federal bust on organized criminal gang activity.
Retaliation is common for crimes involving biker gangs. However, it could happen anywhere because of how interconnected gangs have become nationwide.
The 3-year investigation resulted in 42 federal indictments on a variety of charges, including racketeering, money laundering, drugs, gambling, insurance fraud, and extortion.
There's a bunch of bikers up here, and they're shooting guns and stuff. I need the police now.
Play on foot going towards 2nd Street. Okay, receive.
Then you see a pack of Hells Angels going by, people are going to want to look. Next thing you know, cars, because they're just staring at us and not paying attention to stop traffic.
If you wanted to break the law on an everyday norm, you should have joined a street gang. That's what they're known for. That's what they do. You're not allowed to steal cars on my block. We steal those cars.
I mean, it was so bad by us in Vegas. I was in the pool swimming, and the guys came back, "Hey, Pee-wee, the cops are here. They want to talk to you." I said, "Well, go talk to them. Find out what they want." And they came back, they go, "They want to talk to you."
Typically, if you leave the club, if you haven't been in for 10 years, you're automatically out back.
Got put out in 2006, back in 2007, wound up going into Chattin 2011. Came out of there, I had 4.5 years to walk off with zero support from that club.
Welcome to this episode of Chattin with Staxx. I'm your host, Bill Staxx, and today we got a ton of things to talk about. We're going to be talking about one of the pagan members that just was sentenced to 7 years. Well, he was sentenced to 14, but he's got to serve 7. And we're going to talk about that case, and we're going to talk about a hostile takeover. And what's that all about? That's over in Australia. We're going to talk about a hostile takeover where they took over a club. And do you think that would work? Like, does it work if you take over a club hostile? I don't know about that. But before we get started, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you can get my videos every time they drop. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Tell your mother's, brother's, sister's friend about Chattin with Staxx, the dopest motorcycle content on YouTube. So the first thing we're going to get into is the Red Rum Motorcycle Club. They did a really heroic thing the other day, and we're going to get into that story. It's pretty crazy. Shout out to them. Shout out to all the motorcycle clubs out there. And let me give some shout outs before we get started. Jimmy, what's going on? Richard, Mad Tink, Black Hand. Oh, wait, Black Hand's me. Mad Tink, what's going on? Kev, how are you? Ken, good afternoon. I appreciate all you guys taking the time to watch this show. We got 22 people in the house, and we're just getting started. So, the Red Rum Motorcycle Club, shout out to them. They did a really noble thing, and we're going to get into that story. So I got a video to share with you guys. That's why it took so long. So let's get into it.
Well, Mike, it was supposed to be like any other day, a trip Yvette Varga and her grandparents had been on dozens of times before, but then a wrong-way driver shattered that and would have left them all dead if a motorcycle club named Red Rum hadn't been there to help.
T-Smart, what's up?
I'm sitting there trying to wave him to stop, slow down, do something. And as I look over, he's at my rear tire. And that's when they collide.
Other brothers were coming in, and then that's when we all heard the screaming from the back of the car. And we realized there was a little girl in the back.
On July 17th, the same day they were married in 1976, Eric and Nancy Morris had taken their granddaughter Yvette on the annual trip to Reno they do every year, when they came head-to-head with another vehicle while traveling south down Highway 89.
And I'm like, hello, this is Michelle. And she says, are you the parent of Yvette Varga? And I said, and my heart just kind of went, wait, what? She says, we have your daughter. She's been flighted to our hospital.
Yvette survived the crash, as did the other driver, but Michelle's parents did not, destroying lives they thought they still had years with.
Their love was the kind of love that was out of a storybook, you know, the look on Yvette's face, you know, in pictures in Papa's phone. It was never a look that I'd ever seen before in my life. Why? Because that look was always reserved for Papa.
And while they are mourning the loss of them, they're also counting their blessings that the Red Rum Motorcycle Club happened to be right there to save their daughter.
They had to give her a unit of blood. Had they not been there, she would be dead.
She'd be dead.
Absolutely.
She'd been curled up in a ball underneath in there, hyperventilating, blood loss.
Red Rum is a Native American-based club, and while they were only there by coincidence, they say they're no heroes.
I don't feel like a hero, you know? I just feel like I did what needed to be done. I feel that if my parents were there and my kids were there, that someone would stop.
However, the Vargas feel different, with Yvette now on the path to recovery after receiving multiple internal injuries from the crash. They'll always honor what those men did.
Would not be here without those riders.
Yeah. So
they are heroes. And I am forever
grateful
in their debt for saving my daughter's life, because I'll tell you, I don't know what I would do.
Pretty wild story.
Now, I spoke with the California Highway Patrol, who say this is still under investigation and could not share the status of the other driver at this time. The Vargas do run a nonprofit that provides medical tattoos for survivors of fires and other accidents, and ask anyone looking to support either donate to their organization or the GoFundMe they've set up for Yvette's medical costs. We'll have links to both on our website, krcrtv.com. Live in Reading, I'm Max Tedford for the North States News.
So I'll get the link for that if you guys want to help out this little girl in her medical costs. So Loud, what's going on? Thank you for joining me today. You're at work. Shout out to North Carolina. Shout out to everyone out there in North Carolina that watches the show. We got a lot to talk about today. It's going to be a busy one. So today, we're talking about a pagan member who was just sentenced for an axe attack. Now, this happened at Cider Mill. I believe it was Cider. Hold on. Ciders from Mars in Staunton. Motorcycle gang member sentenced to prison for attack at Cider from Mars in Staunton. I think I'm saying that right. I don't know. The Pagans motorcycle gang, which is not a gang, it's a motorcycle club. It says here, though, Pagans motorcycle gang member who attacked two people at Ciders from Mars last year in downtown Staunton has been sentenced to 7-year prison term. The attack took place the evening of May 26, 2024, on the back patio of the business located at 121 South Lewis Street. According to the assistant Commonwealth attorney, two men were at Ciders from Mars listening to a band on the night of the incident. This was a family-friendly event, said the prosecutor. Nearby, according to Falwell, were a small group of motorcyclists who were doing burnouts in a parking lot and being noisy. During the commotion, a man approached the two men at Ciders from Mars and started up a conversation, but he was immediately rebuffed. About an hour later, 27-year-old John C. Pleasance of Staunton arrived at the business wearing a mask and armed with an axe handle, the gang's weapon of choice, it says. Barwell said Pleasance went straight to the two men and began beating one of them with the axe handle. Farwell said he also punched the other man, chipping his tooth. The Staunton Police Department said the victims were aged 30 and 22 years old. Patrons at the establishment were able to halt the attack, but Pleasance, who lost his mask during the incident, fled the scene. Authorities didn't catch up to him for about 10 months until a traffic stop by the Staunton Police Department on March 13th by Officer Stephen Wilder, who called in Master Officer Jessica Owens, the canine handler, according to Falwell. After the police dog signaled that there were drugs in the vehicle, Falwell said the police did a search and seized the same axe handle used in the attack. That's crazy. He had the same axe handle 10 months later in a car. They said, which is the gang's weapon of choice. Police also found a Glock handgun, a shotgun, ammunition, and methamphetamine. Falwell said that there was no evidence there was also evidence of Pleasant's gang activity in the vehicle, as well as lock-picking tools and gloves. The Staunton Circuit Court on July 28th, in a plea agreement, Pleasance pleaded guilty to charges of gang participation in a school zone, attempted malicious wounding, unlawful wounding, possession of Scheduled 1 and 2 drug, possession of a firearm while in possession of Schedule 1 or 2 drug, possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. Falwell said the attack took place within 1,000 feet of a satellite school of Mary Baldwin University at Stewart Hall, Eastham Center, resulting in gang participation charge in a school zone. Do you think that's right? And I have a question, if there's any club members that are out there. If someone gets involved with a situation like this, right, and they openly admit to participating in a gang, are they still okay with the club? Or is that a problem? Because that's something that I'm wondering. If they openly admit that they're participating in a gang, which it's a motorcycle club, you know, they throw all these gang enhancement charges and all this stuff. It depends on the situation that these people are caught in. But they're clearly not a gang. They use that to give them more time. They use it to scare the public. It's a motorcycle club, and certain people may be getting in trouble here, over there. It doesn't mean the whole club as a whole is this big criminal enterprise. Like they were saying, the people were doing burnouts in a parking lot. These two dudes probably said something to them, maybe. Maybe they were disrespectful. Who knows? But they can't hold the whole club accountable for one person's actions. If that was the case, then people that go to church, they would be calling the church a gang. Or anything. They would be calling, I can't speak on the 16s, but you don't put out your club for your mistakes. You don't put out your club for your mistakes. Hey, what's going on, Mark? How are you? Travis, what's going on? Thank you for joining me, man. We're going to be doing something soon. I'm going to hit you up later, Travis. I'm going to have you come on with a bunch of different people. So he was charged with participation of a gang in a school zone. Prior to being sentenced, Pleasance apologized and recited a verse from the Old Testament, he was sentenced to a total number of 14 years in prison, 7 suspended, giving him 7 years to serve in prison. Pleasance was also placed on 4 years of supervised release, probation upon his release from prison. There is no excuse for that, said the judge. There is no place for this in our community. As part of the plea agreement, Pleasance must sever ties with the Pagans, which is considered a street gang under Virginia code. That's insane. So the judge is making it part of the plea that he severs ties with the motorcycle club. What? I did not know they can do that. But I guess if you're on parole or probation or you're under the thumb of the judicial system, they can do that. I guess they can. So he is ordered to sever ties with the Pagans Motorcycle Club. And it says here, they are considered a street gang under Virginia code. Following the hearing, Falwell praised the work of the officers, Wilder and Owens, along with the senior officer, Caleb Spence, who eventually assigned to investigate Pleasance. The 3 of them are absolutely fantastic officers, he said. I disagree. Fuck 'em. But damn, I did not know that the judge can order that he sever ties with a motorcycle club. What if his family is involved? What if he got into it because of his father was in it or something like that, and he has to sever ties? That's crazy. I did not know they can do that, but I guess they can. I mean, the courts could really do anything they want. If you're under the court's thumb, you guys know how it goes. But there was a lot of other news going on, and today we're going to be talking about the Finks Motorcycle Club in Australia. So there's a situation that is transpiring over there that has to do with the Finks. Now, the Finks and the Hells Angels, obviously, they're in a picture here together. There's a few pictures of them together. Here's the Banditos, the Finks, and the Hells Angels. So there was a hostile takeover, apparently. The Hells Angels storm a rival gang's clubhouse in a brazen daylight raid. This happened in Sydney, Australia, in a scene ripped straight from the pages of outlaw folklore. The notorious Hells Angels Motorcycle Club has been accused of a broad daylight siege on a rival gang's clubhouse, igniting fresh fears of violent turf war in South Wales. Police are investigating a high-stakes coordinated hostile takeover. They saw more than 24 patch members of the Hells Angels Motorcycle Club force their way into a compound of the lesser-known rival club believed to be the Finks. Over the weekend, sources close to the task force, specialized strike team within the police, say that the bikers demanded rival gang patch over, an ultimatum that left several members bruised, humiliated, and ousted. So this is insane. I want to know what your thoughts are on them doing a hostile takeover of another motorcycle club. So apparently they busted through the doors and they demanded that they patch over to their club. By the time the sun set, the clubhouse had changed hands. The raid had military precision. According to law enforcement and confidential informants, the incident unfolded about 2 p.m. Saturday. In the outer western suburbs of Sydney, surveillance footage obtained by investigators allegedly showed a convoy of motorcycles, SUVs, rolling up to the nondescript building that served at the Sphinx Clubhouse, formerly a panel-beaten workshop with blackened out windows and reinforced gates. Witnesses described the scene as chaotic but controlled. They weren't there to talk, said a neighboring business owner who requested to not stay anonymous out of fear of retaliation. It was a blitz. Leather, chains, boots, the works. They poured in like a flood. No sirens, no yelling, just this eerie, cold efficiency. Police said members of the Hells Angels were wearing reinforced vests under their cuts, breached the front gates, and began dismantling the club's insignia, spray painting over their logos, confiscating property marked with the Sphinx Iron Cross patch. Several rival bikers were allegedly beaten and forced to strip of their colors, a practice known in the outlaw biker culture as depatching. Investigators say the Sphinx members were given the grim choice: patch over or get out. According to the underworld sources, the Hells Angels, whose presence in Australia has grown significantly over the past decades, are in the midst of a calculated expansion campaign to absorb or eliminate smaller clubs across New South Wales and Queensland. The forced patch over, a rare, highly controversial move, is seen as an open act of aggression, akin to declaration of war in the outlaw biker circles. There's no democracy in this world, said one former outlaw biker turned police consultant. It is all about dominance, territory, and control of the pipeline. Drugs, guns, girls, the works. This wasn't random. It was a message. So now police are on high alert. The police have confirmed that they are investigating the incident and have not made any arrests as of Tuesday morning. The assistant commissioner, the head of the state command's Raptor squad, called the event deeply concerning and warned of escalating tensions. This type of overt gang activity shows complete disregard for the community's safety and the law, Wallace said at a press conference. We are pursuing multiple leads and will not allow this state to become a battlefield of outlaw motorcycle gangs, he said. Specialized strike teams have been dispatched to monitor both newly acquired clubhouse and the homes of known Sphinx and Hells Angels members, fearing retaliatory strikes, surveillance drones, covert listening devices, and digital intercepts from all reportedly are in play. The outlaw motorcycle culture has been long rooted its ritual loyalty in a brutal hierarchy. Hostile takeovers like this were once rare and taboo. The moments of profound betrayal or collapse. But experts who say those rules are changing. In the past, one club might be absorbed with another if it folded. But a forced patch over like this in daylight and boots on the ground as muscle, it's a throwback to the 70s and 80s, said Dr. Kim Platt, a criminologist who studies outlaw motorcycle clubs and organizations in Australia. It shows the Hells Angels are no longer interested in peaceful coexistence. Platt believes the move is driven by economics, not ego. The Hells Angels are playing chess while the others are playing checkers. By taking over the Sphinx turf, they seize control of the meth routes, brothel operations, and extortion rackets. It isn't about pride, it's about power. Locals in the suburbs, which authorities have chosen not to name publicly due to the security concerns, are rattled. You see those guys rolling in, you lock your doors, said a local barber whose shop faces the clubhouse. It's like the Wild West again. Only difference is they wear Harley patches instead of cowboy hats. Residents report a spike in late night engine roars, increased patrols, surveillance vans parked near homes. Community leaders are pleading with authorities for more protection. I believe their neighborhood is probably a lot safer than a lot of others, but this is pretty crazy. This is insane. So if you do that, right, and you take over a club like hostile takeover, would it work? Do you think it would work? It's pretty brazen, though. As the Hells Angels tighten their grip, law enforcement and rival gangs alike are bracing for blowback. The Comancheros, the Banditos, the Rebels, three of Australia, other major motorcycle clubs have reportedly convened emergency meetings to assess the implications. All it takes is one bullet, said senior police source. One drive-by, one retaliation. They are not talking about intimidation anymore. They're talking about blood. For now, the seized clubhouse sits quiet, its walls freshly painted, and their insignia removed. By insiders say the silence is temporary, the calm before the war drums. So this is a crazy situation. This is the first time I've ever heard of something like this. I mean, these dudes smashed right through the front gates, took their insignias down, started taking all their anything with the logo on it, and they're making them patch over. Now, do you think something like this would work? It's a pretty brazen move. Hey, Lindsay, how are you? Thank you for joining me today. It is a very brazen move. Hey, dog off his leash. How are you? Thank you for joining me today. Now, do you think if they were to do something like this, which they did, do you think it would work? Do you think those people would respect the other members? And do you think that it can go on like peacefully, or do you think there would be tension amongst the members? I'm just curious to what you guys think. But I got a lot more interviews I'm going to be dropping. I just interviewed a guy from the lighter side of true crime. So he interviews serial killers, and he's interviewed people like Tex Watson from the Manson family. This is a picture of Tex Watson now. He interviewed William Howe from Connecticut, serial killer that would pick up women in his van. This is him. These are all the women. He would dump the bodies in New Britain, Connecticut. So I interviewed him, and I'm going to be dropping that coming up soon. I interviewed Jeremy, the former bandito, and we talk about a lot of different things. So I got a lot of great content for you guys coming up. Happens all the time. This is the first time I've ever heard of that happening. A hostile takeover like that. Staxx, what club was that? They're doing the last story. Which one? Which one are you talking about? The hostile takeover? That was the Finks and the Hells Angels. The Hells Angels took over the Finks. The first story I told you about with the axe handle, that was a pagan member. And that happened in, I believe it was Pennsylvania. You guys know a bunch of situations happen out there in Pennsylvania. There was another situation that happened in October of 2018 where the Hells Angels and the Pagans had a situation. We could talk about that real quick. Shout out to Biker Trash Network. Go subscribe to Biker Trash Network. And this is in the same town. It was Virginia. That's where it happened. Same town in Virginia where that person was just sentenced, right? This situation happened in the same town. So Pagans, they were ambushed by the Hells Angels in Staunton, Virginia, on October 4th, 2018. During the early morning hours of September 10th, at the Hometown Inn in Greenville, 5 men, 4 of them reportedly members of the Hells Angels Motorcycle Club, and the other a prospect, were lying in wait after 2 members of the rival Pagans Motorcycle Club were spotted across the street at the Pilot Travel Center. Roughly 30 minutes later, the 2 Pagans pulled into the motel parking lot on their motorcycles. An ambush was unleashed. Based on video evidence shown at the court, one of the Pagans was shot and the other one was knocked off his motorcycle and beaten with a hammer. So, from the top left is Andy Thongthroff. The next guy is Richard West, Nathaniel Villeman, Joseph Patazzuro, and the bottom, Buster D'Amigo, Anthony Milan, and Dominic Indicio. Prior to the shooting, which took place shortly after 3 a.m., after 2 Pagans were seen at the travel center, one of the motorcycle gang members rousted 4 others from their homes at the motel. After the men took off their Hells Angel gear and changed into different clothes, one of the Hells Angels kept close tabs on the Pagans across the street with binoculars. Another was seen holding an iPad in their direction, presumably filmed them. Motel surveillance videos showed 3 other Hells Angels were nearby. Now, all this was caught on tape. An hour and a half later, the Pagans went to the Hometown Inn. The clerk, unaware of they were now rival club members at the hotel, they gave them the room next door to one of the 3 rooms they rented by the Hells Angels, according to evidence. As the Pagans pulled into their room, one following the other, the second rider was knocked off his motorcycle as it was still moving. The rider in the front wiped out. He wiped out as an attempted escape the ambush, skidding his bike to the ground as he ran. 2 Hells Angels opened fire on him, the video showed. An investigator said 4 of the gunshots were fired. The victim was struck once in the lower left side of his back. He survived the shooting and was released from the University of Virginia Medical Center in Charlottesville after a week's stay. The beating victim was not seriously injured. Both victims were members of the Pagans Motorcycle Club out of Southern Virginia. The sheriff's office said 7 suspects were arrested at the scene. 2 guns and shell casings were recovered at the motel by investigators. Following the shooting in Augusta, the sheriff Donald Smith said both groups were passing through the area following an unidentified convention. One of the men accused of opening fire, Anthony Milan, 28. That's the guy on the bottom middle. From East Elmhurst, New York. Milan is a prospective member of the Hells Angels New York City chapter, according to evidence. He appeared in Augusta County Circuit Court on Thursday in an attempt to get a bond. The other guy, Dominic, is from Staten Island, New York, and suspected of opening fire, evidence showed. Milan and the other men are charged with 2 counts of malicious wounding by a mob, along with a single count of conspiracy to maliciously wound. They were charged with gang participation in criminal act of a firearm, commission of a felony. Damn. Milan has no prior felonies and was denied bond. The two other Hells Angels were not charged in the attack, but face gun charges and drug charges. All 7 of the suspects remained behind bars, but that case has been taken care of. That was quite a while ago. I just wanted to show you guys that the same thing happens in the same areas, you know? But what do you guys think of this hostile takeover of the Finks Motorcycle Club in Australia? Do you think it's a good strategy? Do you think it'll work? It's basically get down or lay down. They busted right through the front door, took their insignia off, told them take their cuts off, and said, you're down with us now. That's pretty crazy. Pretty wild. And you guys know Sturgis is coming up. Shout out to everyone that going to Sturgis. Make sure you have a safe weekend. It starts on Friday. I believe they're having like a pre-parties until then. But it should be a great time. I wish I can go. Next year. I'm going to try to go next year. I'm going to try to hit a lot of motorcycle conventions and things next year. So if you guys are around and you want to meet up, just hit me up. I will be at a lot of them. I'm going to go to Laconia. I'll go to Bike Week. And we'll start getting some things done. Another thing that was brought to my attention, you know, we've been talking about fake ass Caleb Harris, right? This guy. People might not be aware, but he used to support the Mongols. And apparently, the Mongols are the ones that killed his brother, Lefty. Apparently, allegedly. But he used to support them. And that's pretty wild. 2017, July. These are all posts from him. You see his name right down there. It's pretty telling. But this guy has been exposed. If you guys don't know, go check out the videos that we've been doing about him. And this guy, the so-called international president for the Hells Angels. And I was told that there is no international president. They don't do that. So this guy put himself in that position. It's pretty weird that someone would do that. It's very odd. Let me show you guys. It's very odd that someone would do that and say that. Mental health is alive and well, ladies and gentlemen. It really is. In 2025. Why would someone ever do something like that? Now, this is his Instagram, I believe it is. So apparently, he's a public figure, Hells Angels MC, international president. Do people know his name is George Courtney and not George Bishop? He's been exposed. Oh, yes, he has. He's not related to William Bishop. Those pictures he shows is not William Bishop. It's Doug the Thug. This guy is a drug addict. I don't think they would put someone like him in any type of position like that. But it's just crazy. It shows you that mental health is alive and well in 2025. It really is. Nah, I don't know, man. I don't think they have a tight case. I really don't. I think their case is pretty loose, man. I mean, I thought that at first. Every single one of those people that were arrested during Operation Mongolian Beef are all out on bond. Every single one of them. There's not one of them that is in jail right now. So, I mean, you do the math. I don't think that case is going to go too far. Not one of them members is in prison right now. And if it was a airtight case, they wouldn't even be out on bond. So it's just crazy. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think a hostile takeover would really work. I just don't see that working. Because then people are like pissed, you know? Maybe they didn't want to go that way or whatever. But who knows? That's Australia, and Chitwood ain't fucking around. Just saying. Don't worry, I got something for Chitwood's ass. Chitwood has some is gonna have some explaining to do. Cause I've been getting some information about Mr. Chitwood. So and again, if you guys are out there and you got information on Chitwood, hit me up. Chitwood absolutely hates motorcycle clubs. He hates them, despises them for some reason. But I got some information on him. And I was like, wow. In Australia, they switch patches all the time. Yeah, I believe that. But do they hostile takeover clubs like that? Because that's a crazy situation. They just went in there, ripped their insignia down, told them, take their cuts off. You're down with us now. It's pretty wild. There's a lot of content on the way. I appreciate you guys taking the time to watch this show. Coming up this week, we're going to be talking about motorcycle clubs and video games. Because it seems to be quite a bit of mainstream clubs that are in these video games. Now, the questions that I have is, do they have permission from the clubs to put their likeness in these video games? Because I'm talking about there's Hell's Angels, there's Outlaws, there's Pagans, there's Mongols, Banditos, there's tons of motorcycle clubs. And I'm going to show you some footage from these different games. And some of it will blow your mind at just their actions and the things they do in these games. It's insane. But I want to know your opinion when we come back later in the week. I appreciate you guys taking the time to watch this show. Make sure you check out my videos. There's over 6,000 videos to choose from. I interviewed all kinds of people, from actors to MMA fighters, UFC, to ex-mafia guys, to current bikers, to ex-one percenters, all different types of people. Takes all kinds to make the world go around. But I appreciate you guys. Thank you for watching. And if you guys want to donate to the show, you can hit up the Cash App at Chattin with Staxx. And if you want to tell your story on the show, just hit up my email at billstax2021 and we'll make it happen. I appreciate you guys taking the time. If you like this show, hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you could get my videos every time they drop. And if you don't like this show, too fucking bad. Start your own podcast. I appreciate all you guys. And remember, tell a friend to tell a friend. Tell your mother's brother's sister's friend about Chatting with Staxx, the dopest motorcycle content on YouTube. Oh, yeah. Don't be a bitch.
And all new at 5, a major organized crime bust. 23 people under arrest now accused of stealing guns and cash.
Today, police revealed 4 organized crime groups are wreaking havoc.
From aggravated robbery to kidnapping, burglary, and more. Let's take a look at this. New pictures from court documents in this case. These are a few of the people who have been charged. And investigators say the money, tens of thousands of dollars, is all stolen.